A warm welcome to everybody. Today we will talk about the upcoming energies, the astrological aspects, and I'm here today with my dear friend Sara Costa. She is also a Vedic astrologer and a very, very good astrologer. And we will look to the energies of the upcoming solar eclipse on the 14th of October and also the lunar eclipse. And we will look what this energy brings up for different countries, because we see there's some very interesting aspects, and we will talk about all those things. And we will start with looking on the solar eclipse chart, and I will open it here so you can see it also. So this is the upcoming solar eclipse on October the 14th. And you see a solar eclipse is a new moon where sun and new moon is exact at the same degrees, and they are very near to the lunar nodes. And when they are close to the lunar nodes, then this is time for a solar eclipse. And normally we have two solar eclipses every year and also two or more lunar eclipses. And yes, and we will just start. I made an energy update for the solar eclipse, and I think it is a very intense solar eclipse because it happens in the nakshatra Chitra, and we have in Vedic astrology the lunar mansions, and they give us more information about the energies, what we have to expect. And Chitra brings a lot of fire energy, and Chitra is connected to Mars. And maybe, Sarah, you want to add some things?
Hi, Sylvia. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Yeah. I also agree with you. This will be I think, a very intense solar eclipse. And as Sylvia was saying, so the nodes K2, in this case is a K2 solar eclipse, so it's close enough to the moon and the sun to form a solar eclipse. And this is an interesting one because it's like K2 is in Libra, and then the sun and the moon are in Virgo, so it's kind of affecting these two signs in a way. But it's only because of the distance, as Sylvia was saying. It has to be a minimum distance, like 18 degrees to eclipse to be formed. So and in Chitra is indeed very intense. And I think it's even more intense because Mercury, the ruler of Virgo, is there as well, actually close to this new moon, let's say, to this eclipse. And Chitra is ruled by Mars, and Mars is with K2. So this is a really extreme, intense solar eclipse, which will be, of course, on the 14th of October. It will be an intense day, but the results will be seen, for sometimes even 1 year after.
Yeah, there's a long period where those energies are active, and maybe we cannot experience on the 14th something special, but in the upcoming weeks or also months, this is possible that we can see. And every planet that will cross over those degrees of the solar eclipse, they will also bring a taste of this energy, have a taste of this energy. And we also have Uranus, and this is the planet of unexpected events and very, very strong power in opposition of Ketu and Mars. And because they are all connected through Chitra and through those energies, and this is really intense. And then we have also another very important thing in Vedic astrology. We do not look so much at the 90 degrees angles, but they are also very powerful. And we have there Pluto. Pluto is in a degree to the solar eclipse. It is not exact 90 degrees, but it is near 90 degrees and also very near to the lunar nodes. And this makes it very, yes, there is a lot of energy of transformation, of change in this solar eclipse. So I think we will start to look at different countries. What do you think we should start, Sarah?
Yeah, just maybe adding one thing. Also, Neptune is opposing the solar eclipse. Of course, not in exact degree. It's far, but I think it will. It has an influence of deception, kind of delusion. Maybe also when Rahu will shift to Pisces by the end of November. This will. I mean, this is another topic, of course, but I think this will bring a lot of changes. And unfortunately, I would say also that because so this solar eclipse is in Chitra, which is ruled by Mars, and Mars is with K2. Whenever Mars is with K2, this causes a bit of violence, sometimes even attacks. And we have seen actually in the previous days, actually yesterday, right? Because it was the full moon, and of course Mars is right now still in Virgo with the Sun, and it has aspected this full moon in Pisces, and we have seen different attacks, like one in Pakistan. We have seen also an attack in Rotterdam, if I'm not, it's in the Netherlands.
Yes.
So this energy has, yeah, unfortunately has become a bit violent. But of course, solar eclipse, I mean, eclipses in general always bring up issues that we didn't know about, not only collectively, but also in each of our charts. So these kind of violence, unfortunately, it happens, but it will bring new things to the surface. And so we will look at, yeah, now we will better look indeed at each country's chart. And maybe one last thing, just for everyone who is watching, it's good that on the day of the eclipse, which is 14 October, it's actually a Saturday, so maybe it will be easier for people to don't do that much, because usually it's not a work day. So it's always good on an eclipse day to not do much, really relax, maybe be more distant from devices, computers, phones. If possible, for people who meditate, who chant mantras, this is really a good time for spiritual practices. But like, eat very light, because during new and full moons, and especially eclipse, our digestive fire is weak, and so really take it easy if possible, more contact with nature, and don't do anything, important decisions or meetings 5 days before and 5 days after. It's like a kind of the eclipse season, what we call the eclipse season. So yeah, just one last thing for people to know.
Thank you so much for this great advice. Thank you, Sarah. That's good.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we live in so technical world that we
Yeah,
totally disconnect from the nature and our energies around us, and so
sure, yeah. And
this,
in the eclipse, everyone senses, even if they are not aware, okay, there is an eclipse, people start to feel like more, unrest inside of them, and even before, because these energy effects, as I said, like days before and days after, you will feel. And then we will have a lunar eclipse, of course, later, but I mean, the solar eclipse is really strong, so
yeah,
it's good to be in connection, in synchronized with nature in
yeah,
that way.
yeah, and it helps us also to discover more of ourselves. A solar eclipse is like a 0 point where you can make new decisions, better decisions.
Yeah.
But maybe wait some days.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great. Thank you very much. And we will look at Taiwan, we will look at China, where we see a lot of things coming up. And also India is very interesting, and a lot of people know that also the chart of USA is very interesting of all those changes. And if there are other countries you are interested, please write in the comments, and so we can make further updates for you and look to different charts. And maybe we will start with the chart of India, because you spoke about this tragic event that happened around the full moon, not in India.
It was, yeah, Pakistan, yes. But yeah, it could be in India.
Yeah.
It could have been in India because unfortunately of the situation, between Muslims and Hindus. So there
Mhm.
is a lot of, yeah, violence regarding that, unfortunately, in India. Yeah,
Yes.
and you see the third house. The third house is full of planets,
Yeah.
and these is borders, like neighbors.
Yeah.
And India has had a lot of problems with, I mean, also, caused by both sides probably, but a lot of problems with, Pakistan. Um, so maybe this would be right. I mean, I know from my teacher that this is the chart they use.
Yes, the third house is for neighborhood, and
Yeah.
and there's a lot going on with all those planets here.
Yeah.
It's amazing,
And
really.
also because of religion. So religion, I would say it's the ninth house, which is Saturn. And religion also has been a problem, um, depending on the leaders, but like Modi has caused a lot of nationalism. And so really it's kind of religion is causing a lot of conflicts. Like
Yeah,
Venus is always there, also there, sorry. So Venus, which represents conflict, the sixth house ruler, is with Saturn.
yeah.
So yeah, it might be correct.
And also the nakshatra Ashlesha, where we see those planets here, is connected to delusion, and also people who are not always honest. And this can bring up some troubles. That's not as easy. It's one of the difficult nakshatras. And yeah, what do you else see, Sarah?
Um, yeah, for the eclipse itself, yeah, it's not like triggering that many planets.
Yeah,
I mean, Neptune is there, not close, but it's there. Um, so yeah, Neptune could also represent disease, of course, and yeah, as you said, like also the deception, delusion, drugs. It also represents that. But yeah, I mean, it's not triggering that much. I mean, the chart itself, like the natal planets.
yeah. So we
Of
will
course,
look
it always, yeah, maybe you can look at the president. But
at,
of course, even if, because we also see in the individual charts whenever the eclipses don't affect natal planets, they are a bit less intense, let's say. Of course, everyone in a way feels eclipses and there are changes all over the world, but whenever the natal planets are triggered, this is super, super intense.
yeah.
So,
And we also look when eclipse happens at the eclipse path. That is the path that is where you can watch that something on the sky happens. You can see the sun and the dark sun. And this eclipse path is about the, I think, Pacific Ocean. And then it is in North America, straight through North America, and then South America and Brazil, I think. Then the
yeah.
and this means where the path is, normally those countries are more involved in those energy transformations that happen with the eclipse. And we will see later to when we take a look at the USR chart. And now we will just look at the leader of India, to Narendra Modi's chart. And you can see there is a lot happening here in the 12th house. And the 12th house is about endings. And there you can see the sun, you can see a retrograde Mercury, you can see Ketu, and the sun and Mercury, they are very close, and also Neptune. And what do you think, Sarah, about Narendra Modi and the solar eclipse?
And so the solar eclipse, so it will affect, of course, his 12th house, and you will have, of course, it's not close in degree, but still it will affect all these planets. And you will have his nodal return as well. So K2 will cross his natal K2 later, not like maybe 2024, 2025. And Rahu will cross his natal Rahu. So this is also, it will be a period of change for him. A lot of things might come up from this, after the solar eclipse from this 12th house. And 12th house is, it deals with foreign affairs a lot, right? It is Mercury is in the 12th house, so the planet which rules the 12th house is there as well, and in the eclipse will be there as well. So, and he has a Mercury retrograde, so it can bring some, retrograde like bring some ups and downs in the areas of life that it rules. And here, of course, Neptune is there also. And 12th house is also about its hidden enemies, right? Also.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's really intense energy, I would say.
Intense energies. And also the solar eclipse happens in the nakshatra Chitra, and this is connected to Mars. He is in a period we have in Vedic astrology, dashas, those are the life cycles, and he is in a period of Mars, and this connects also to, and also Rahu is connected to a solar eclipse. So this could have a special meaning for him, the solar eclipse. We will see. It does not mean that something must happen, but these energies can bring up for him a big kind of transformation.
Yeah, and what you point out about the dasha is really important because it's these two planets are are in a way involved because even Mars, not only Chitra, but the Mars is also there in the eclipse in a way with K2. And I would say like this is January, right? The dasha starts 11th, January 2023 until January 2024. So this year will be maybe we'll see then the changes later because eclipse is, of course, it's not directly always. So this will bring a huge transformation for him. Also, again, like because he will go through, nodal return, all of these transits. So it will affect him. So yeah, we will see what happens. But I would say something will definitely happen.
Yeah.
Some big changes. And also the moon in his case rules his 10th house. And the moon will be, of course, in the eclipse. It is with Mars as well.
Yeah.
So it's definitely can bring a lot of changes
Yes. And the
to his
moon is
maybe
the ruler.
presidency.
The 10th house is connected to your position and your
Yes.
reputation. So this can bring up
Yeah, sure.
a change. Okay, let's look at Taiwan at next. And Taiwan, we have a chart And there is a lot of planets here in the eighth house, in the house of transformation. And you might know that Mars and Ketu is here in the house in the sign of Libra, and this and Uranus is in the sign of Aries. And these are strong energies that are connected to the solar eclipse. What do you think, Sarah, about Taiwan?
Yeah, so definitely because they have a natal K2 in Chitra. Even if we don't have like, an accurate birth time, we don't know 100%. But yeah, K2 will be there anyway. There are some planets like it won't change. It's more the ascendant and the moon sometimes that change on the day. The other planets might change, of course, if they are in the limit of signs, but so it will definitely cause because they are now like having also their nodal return at the end of the transit of Rahu and Ketu before they shift at the end of November. And yeah, so the eclipse, if we have this, the correct birth time, this will happen in their ascendant. But yeah, most of all, it's a powerful eighth house with all these planets.
Yeah,
So maybe if anyone has a accurate birth time for Taiwan, maybe they can share.
yeah.
We can look at it again.
Yes, and I often think about Nancy Pelosi. She went to
Yeah.
Taiwan last year at, I think, August the 1st, and there we
Yes.
had a very difficult uh, conjunction here in the eighth house of Aries, and sometimes later those energies
Yeah.
um,
Manifest later. Yes.
the result.
Also, in 2024, we will have Jupiter-Uranus conjunction.
Yeah.
It will also happen. Yeah, I think I don't remember the degrees, but it
Uh,
is
at the last degrees, I
near the
think.
moon. Yeah, yeah, it's not super far of Taiwan's moon.
Mm. Yeah. Okay, let's look at China. And we also see here a lot of planets in the ninth house. And the ninth house can bring a change in leadership. What do you think, Sarah?
Yeah, often nine house is actually connected with the changes. And also because here, for example, we have so China has Capricorn ascendant, and then we see the 10th house. And ninth house is actually, if you count, is the last house before the 10th house starts. So we in astrology we often say it's the 12th house from the 10th house. So to make it more or less simple for people to understand. But because it's the last house, it means some changes on that first house, on the 10th house. So it might, yeah, it might definitely bring changes in the presidency or, or within the government itself. Because ninth house, it's linked with the government itself, right? Not only the 10th house, but also the ninth house.
Yes,
And we see the president there, which is the sun, the natal sun. And definitely the eclipse happens, yeah, really close natal K2, yeah, all these planets, even Mercury is 20 degrees, but it always affects the whole sign.
yeah,
So, yeah, I would say it's also a lot of things happening in the coming month, coming
yes,
year, I would say.
yeah. And let's look at Xi Jinping, because I really like to
Yeah.
look at the leaders. They give us often also very important informations. And we have
Yeah.
there, really near to the solar eclipse, is Saturn and Neptune sitting. They're sitting nearly together. And if a planet also is really near to the outer planets are Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus. This means that somebody has a legacy after his death. And I think Xi Jinping, a lot of people will remember his time on as a leader
Yeah.
in China. And Saturn is also the ruler of the eighth house of his horoscope, and this can often stand also for difficulties and bring up,
Unexpected things all done.
yeah, and it is in the lunar mansion Chitra, like the solar eclipse will happen. This is also very interesting topic. So we will see what will come up. Do you see anything else important?
No, just want to say because China is it is it will trigger natal planets. I mean, it will have intense triggering of the solar eclipse, and we see the leader also. So this is really, I think this is really important. And the eclipse is right on these two planets, like one less than 1 degree. And I think it has a lot to deal with communication because I think he has some difficulties in communication in general when we see his chart. Because Mercury, which is the ruler of the third house of communication, um, it's in the 12th house with Mars, so it's not so easy.
Yeah, and the sun.
And most of all, Saturn is retrograde, so it causes some difficulties there.
Mm.
So yeah, this might definitely bring changes. And Saturn, as you said, rules the eighth house, which is really sometimes things that we don't know how they come and really unexpected. That's why like deep transformation comes. And of course, when we resist that transformation, this becomes even more difficult.
Yeah,
So yeah, and seventh house it's the opposite partner, right? It's like the opposite the ascendant, which Saturn always also rules for him. So yeah, this might bring definitely, things that he didn't know all these about all these issues we talked about. And as Mercury is in the 12th house, is also foreign affairs, like dealing with all these things might be a bit difficult, might be
yes.
challenging for him.
And Saturn is the planet with the highest degrees in his chart. This means it stands a lot for your personality and who you are. And it is his Atma Karaka we speak in Vedic astrology. And this is really important when the solar eclipse happens exactly,
Yeah,
nearly
that's a really
exactly
good point. Yeah,
at this.
that's really, really good because I mean a good point to see in that way because when the eclipses fall in either that Makaraka, the ascendant, I mean the Lagna or the moon are really intense, even the sun as well. So this is really, yeah, I would say it's really, really transformation, which I would say it comes with losses because Mars, which is, I mean, Chitra rules Mars. Mars is in the 12th house of losses.
Yeah.
Something is, yeah,
And
letting go.
he is in the period in his life
Mhm.
cycle of Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. I bring up the third level, and
Yeah,
we will see.
yeah,
Yeah. So, and do not worry if you do not understand everything we are talking today,
okay.
because it is really Vedic astrology deep dive today. And also, if you want to learn more about Vedic astrology, we have an online course, Sara and we work there together. And if you are interested, um, you can use the link below the video. There you get more information about our online course. There you can learn all those things we're speaking today and make your own predictions because it's really interesting to have all those informations. Now I think we should look to the chart of USA, and I have to
Yeah.
open it.
Sometimes people complain, yeah, why always looking at the US? But yeah, I mean, when we look in astrology to, you know, to the world, we have to take into account geopolitics as well. So, and the USA, as well as China, they have a lot of planets in Gemini, as you have seen also in China's chart and here. It's so yeah, this is a really intense, sensitive point in the zodiac actually. This Ardra, more specific nakshatra Ardra in Gemini and Scorpio as well. But so it means they will always be on the spotlight. So that's why we always talk about the US in all issues. So that's why they are so dominant as well in geopolitics, I would say, as a whole. So that's not about preferences because it's really important when we talk about world events because then they will affect the world also.
Yes. And there was a very important date in September. Maybe you listened to one of my videos where I spoke about when Mars crosses over the Saturn of the US chart, and at the same time, the Sun was here at 7 degrees and in aspect to the Sun, to the Moon. In the third house here, and there is also Mars in transit at 7 degrees, and this is really an intense event that happened. I think in the USA it was the 23rd. In Germany it
Hmm.
was more the 24th and also
Hmm.
25 beginning. And now the solar eclipse happens here at 27, 26,
Yeah.
27 degrees. Also again on this Saturn, and Saturn is here also the planet with the highest degrees in the 10th house of leadership. And what do you think, Sarah?
Yeah, again, actually it's interesting we see these connections between US and China. You know, all the planets in Gemini, here all the planets in Gemini that connect with China's chart, and even Saturn is at the same position. And it's even that Makaraka. So that's why there will always be connection between them. I mean, conflictive or friendly. There will always be some connection there. And it's interesting here because while I think in China was the ninth house, right, Virgo, here we have the 10th house, which is, yeah, is leadership, is the government as well. Um, and yeah, Saturn is in Chitra. So yeah, and if you look where Mars is in the seventh house of opposite partners, like your oppositors, we could say.
Mm.
So yeah, I think this eclipse will be extremely important for the US because Saturn rules the second house of finances, which we could say in a country's chart is the economy. It's also how the country and people see themselves. So this will change as well. And it also rules the third house of communication. And actually, when we talk about communication, we also talk about media and everything that will come out from this from the media actually in the coming, yeah, I would say 6 months, year, from the eclipse. So I think this will really change the US because they are also having their Pluto return. If you see, Pluto is in Capricorn, and I think Pluto is now at 3 degrees more or less. So it's
Yes.
coming,
Mhm.
it's coming near their Pluto.
Yeah.
So the US probably won't be in some years won't be the US we know today.
Yes, it's really a total change. Let's look at Biden's chart at least. Oh, sorry. Open. So we look at the leader of the US, and I know if you like him or not, that's not the topic. It's about he's the leader, and so we look at his chart, and he has his Ketu at 7 degrees, where we have the moon in the US chart, and Saturn is in the transit over the moon, and here also over Ketu. And this means the USA is in Sadi Sathe. It is a period of 7.5 years where you can feel depressed. And if this is about the country, it is mostly about the people in the country, that they do not see really a good way where everything can, uh, yes, really not a good way, how the things are working out. And this is really important. And we also have here moon at 7 degrees in the sign of Aries. This also connects, and Saturn has an aspect, and Saturn is at 7 degrees in the transit at this time.
Right now?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I
Oh,
think
okay.
so. I think so. And this brings up a lot of, yes, of intense energies. Or is it at 6 degrees Saturn? I have to look, but really near,
Okay.
really
Yeah, I
close.
also don't have it right now in because I have seen each time when Saturn transits natal K2 in people's chart, it brings really awakening experiences. It depends, on which house it's affecting. But actually, yeah, I always feel I will always see that people experience really, really, yeah, changeable, events and really important transit, which happens more or less each 30 years
Yeah.
when Saturn goes back to that position. So yeah, and yes, as Sylvia was saying, like it affects his mind, it's the fourth house. Saturn, he has Saturn retrograde, so this might be very unexpected event that happens in his life. Also because you see Saturn ruling the fourth house is with Uranus, so it's something that comes, yeah, suddenly.
Yeah.
Uh, and Sylvia was also thinking, can you go back to the US chart? I think I
Yeah.
forgot to point out one thing is that Saturn rules the labor class. It's like the people, right? Because most of people we like work. So that's often the labor, the people in the country as well. So as this eclipse will cross, yeah, Saturn, natal Saturn, and also in China, it's the same. So the labor class, the people who work, and so this will change a lot. I would say this might bring, issues regarding workers' rights, in these countries, even more than that what we are having, the last years, and especially with Saturn in Aquarius for the coming 2 years. This will become much more prominent in society, I would say.
Yes, a lot of rebellion we will
Mhm.
experience, and a
Yeah,
lot of fire. This eclipse
yeah,
tells us in Virgo, in Chitra,
yeah,
there is a lot of things in change, and that the people are rebellious. This
yeah.
is also,
Also like this day, the day you were talking about, like the 23rd, 24th September. So all these transits like happen as triggers. We might not see them directly, but these are triggers. And then because after the solar eclipse, we're also seeing, different transits that complement. So the universe is really, it's everything happens with a logical order, I would say.
yeah.
So we cannot only see one variable, but then we have so many transits coming up as well that intensify all these eclipse energy.
Yes. And really, if you want to learn more about Vedic astrology,
Yeah.
try it out. We also have a recording of our last workshop where we speak about the houses and the planets, and you can learn there a lot. If you are interested, then please write an email so we can send you the recording. And also, I have an astrologic book. There you can learn a lot about those basics. But if you want to read and to understand and predict, so it is important to be part of our online course. Let's take a last look on the lunar eclipse
Yeah, sure.
at the end of October. It is nearly a month
Oh,
from
yeah.
now, but it's also a very important eclipse, and it happens in the sign of Aries. There is the moon, and the moon is about 10 degrees away from the upper lunar node Rahu, and this means it is a lunar eclipse. And in this eclipse is also Mars activated here in the opposite house with the Sun and Ketu and Mercury. And I think this also brings up intensifying of those energies of the solar eclipse we
Yes.
experience. What do you think, Sarah?
Yeah, it's really extremely intense. Wow, see all these planets there. And again, Mars is involved. We see if we look at so Libra will be full of planets, so it will be involved in this lunar eclipse. And if we look where Venus is in Leo. So this is all about leaders, leadership again,
Yeah. And I
coming back again and again.
Yeah. And I
Also
think,
wealth. Yeah, also wealth, like maybe the rich people in the world, This.
yeah, I spoke in my last videos about that also the financial markets,
Yes.
that there can be really a change. I spoke about this all the year, and not so much happened till now, but I think it could start to go down, the market, the financial markets, the stock markets. And I also speak about maybe a female leader can come up with this change
Yes,
of
yes.
Venus and Sun energy.
Yeah.
And
Also because Venus is in the nakshatra Purva Falguni, which is also ruled by Venus, and it has a very feminine energy here also, so definitely. And in Aries, so we look where Mars is, and it's opposite. So it's also really intense. And the nodes, in this case, Rahu, it's really at the end of the zodiac. We say it's Gandanta because it's in the first degrees of fire, and then he will, by the end of November, cross the last degrees of water. And so actually we are seeing already that a lot of, yeah, it will bring a lot of floods, water related issues when Rahu crosses to the end of the zodiac, let's say. And now it's like really a moment and a time, all these months are really kind of what people usually say out of control.
yeah,
It's like the Gandanta is also a kind of knot that has to be entangled. And so that's like, yeah, I think it's a really interesting transit because it's the beginning of the zodiac and it will go to the end. So it's really this, polarity of beginning and end.
yeah,
So it's also in adding to this lunar eclipse. Yeah, really, really intense because the moon is there near Rahu as well.
yeah.
So yeah,
I think
really interesting.
a lot of discussion will come up with Mercury and Mars. They are really near. Also in the declination, they are really near. So a lot of rebellious energies, and it is most important to find balance with
Uh-huh.
those energies.
Yeah, really important to be aware how we communicate at this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's the same advice for the solar eclipse, especially on that day.
Mm.
But yeah, around that time, it's really important to not be impulsive, if possible. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Sarah, and I hope you could get some information about the upcoming energies
Yeah,
and please share this video with other like-minded people. And like, if you are interested, I also have a newsletter where I share every week important Vedic astrology aspects. And you hear my dog in the background. He also is really always important in my newsletter. And thank you so much. If you want to have a personal reading, Sarah offers personal readings, and they are amazing good. And I can
thank you.
recommend it very much. And I will give all the links. I will put the links below the video so you can contact Sarah if you want to have a reading. And please also in the comments share your thoughts about making those videos together with Sarah. We maybe will make more videos, maybe energy updates for the month. We will see and wait for your feedbacks. And so thank you very much. Have a wonderful day today. Namaste.
Thank you.